All right, everybody, welcome to One Nation of Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I'm your host, Kirk DeMars, and thank you guys for joining me on the program tonight. I'm going to make this one a real short one because I know several of you are wanting to get out there and watch the national championship game in college football. Tonight, the Miami Hurricanes face off against the Indiana Hoosiers. This should be, I think, a pretty good game, but I'm not really sure. The Hoosiers have been on a tear and they have pretty much been demolishing everybody that they face. But this Miami team has been really exceptional and they have a lot of heart and they fight all the way through the end. All right. Well, I'm not going to talk about college football tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the crazy year this has been in the NFL. Um, I mean I know many of you are disappointed with your teams not being in there. I myself am disappointed that the Chiefs didn't make it this year, but we've had a great run, and I'm looking forward to more years to come. Get things back on track, and a lot of that's going to take place because of good hiring as far as assistant coaches and coordinators. The Chiefs most likely are going to have a vacancy in the offensive coordinator position, and it looks like Matt Nagy will most likely go to the Tennessee Titans. We'll get into some of those openings here in a minute. He has connections there with the um, general manager, and he has an opportunity to go there to be a head coach once again. That means that most likely we're going to have a new offensive coordinator. Basically, Andy Reid's the offensive coordinator. It's an offensive coordinator assistant when you really look at it. And from the reports I'm seeing already, it's probably going to be a familiar face in Eric Bieniemy, who was just an assistant at the Chicago Bears, who just ended their season. But before we get into the coaching changes, let's go ahead and talk real quick about the games this weekend. Had some really, really good games, and we had a couple of games that were not so good. When you look at the Bills and Broncos, very good game. Went to overtime, ended on a controversial call. That play could have gone either way. I know many of you probably have your opinions. It was an interception. It was not an interception. It was a completed catch. Um, it was so close and so tight. It was very hard to tell. So I could understand it going either way. However, the Bills, they just came up a little bit short, and sorry for my young friend uh, Elijah, who really is a huge Buffalo Bills fan. I was rooting for him to have his team because I told him, I said, this is your one opportunity. If you don't get there this year, the Chiefs are going to be back, and probably the Ravens and probably the Bengals and some of those teams that missed this year, they're going to probably be back in the hunt again next year. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that, what your opinion is, but he wanted to tell me real quick that the Chiefs aren't even going to make the playoffs. I do not believe that, and I reject that. I don't want to hear that one. All right. The next game, well, actually, let's go back to the Broncos again real quick. They lost their quarterback with a broken ankle. I haven't seen all the footage of it, but they were talking about it. It was even possible that he did it on a kneel down where he broke his ankle. And the kneel down, that would be kind of an embarrassing situation for that to happen. But that's just one of the reports I'm hearing. We'll wait to hear a little bit more on that. But his season's over. They've got their backup quarterback, Jason Stidham, coming in, and he's going to go up against the really good Patriots team, a really good, surprising New England Patriots team. Basically, they manhandled the Texans. The Texans had what was considered the best defense in the NFL. They played that game in rain, sleet, snow. The conditions were not good. C.J. Stroud threw multiple interceptions again, and just did not handle that game in the right manner. They lost that game 28-16, and the Patriots, they look pretty convincing. So that ought to be a good game between the Patriots and the Broncos for the AFC Championship. I'm just not used to saying that without the Chiefs being there in there. I'm just going to have to get over it. I don't know about you guys, but I just got to get over it. Moving over to the NFC side, you had the San Francisco 49ers playing at the number one Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks have, again, one of the top defenses in the league, and they absolutely destroyed the 49ers. They beat them 41-6. The 49ers were depleted in a few areas, but that was no excuse for getting manhandled like they did. Just lots of mistakes. The great defense on the Seahawks, and they did the job where they needed to do the job on offense. So they are going to be a force that is reckoned with, and they will play against the Los Angeles Rams. Now the Rams, they went into Soldier Field in Chicago, and again those conditions were cold and some snowy weather as well. Um, these LA boys went in there, and it was a little bit of a difficult situation. I think I had heard that Matt Stafford, the quarterback, had not played in a sub 20-degree weather game in his entire career. Well, he played in one that day, and they came out on top right at the end of getting really close to the end of overtime. So we had two games went into overtime during these playoffs this last weekend, and that Bears Rams game. I mean, what a finished regulation. The Rams were up by 7. Caleb Williams, the quarterback for Chicago, had taken them down the field. They were being methodical. They got within striking distance, and he threw an off balance bomb into the corner of the end zone, and his receiver caught the ball for a touchdown to tie the game, and they went into overtime. It looked like they had the momentum. The Rams got the ball first. They turned it over on downs and had to punt, and then the Bears got the ball, and they were going down the field. Looked like they were, because it was the next one to score. Then they were going down the field. Looked like they were either going to score a touchdown or get a field goal. Most likely, their plan was to kick a field goal to win the game and then move on. Well, they threw a pass that the defensive back made a great play on. His last name is Curl. He dove and intercepted that ball, and they turned it over. And then the Rams went down the field, and then they kicked a game-winning field goal. As a matter of fact, that game-winning field goal was by a guy with the last name Mevis, and you may recognize that name. He was the kicker for the Missouri Tigers. So he had a dream come true, being able to kick the game-winning field goal to go to the NFC Championship game. So some really good games, and then a couple of blowouts. Looking forward to what's going to take place this next week when we've got the Broncos facing off against the Patriots. That's the number one. Uh, Broncos hosting the New England Patriots, and again, the Broncos will be minus their quarterback Bo Nix. The Rams will be at the Seahawks for the third time. They will play each other this year. They've split the other two games. When you look at the Rams, they seem to have more of a balance on offense and defense, but that Seattle defense is a really, really good defense. So I'm excited to see that. That's probably going to be the game that I'm most excited to watch this next weekend. All right, before we get into the coaching carousel, I want to talk real quick about our coach of the issue, and let's give a little bit of recognition again to Coach Mark Bridges. And he is a coach at Fatima High School, has been there for a long time, does an excellent job. He has been outstanding, and we appreciate Big Whiskeys for their sponsorship of our coach of the issue. Every single issue of Sports Locker Magazine, we recognize one of our Mid-Missouri coaches and all the hard work that they put in. And we're talking about some NFL coaches tonight, but I just really appreciate our high school coaches right here in Mid-Missouri. And again, thank you to Big Whiskeys doing a shout out for our coaches here. All right, before we move on into this next segment, I'm going to go ahead and do our other sponsor, CNS Employment Solutions.
Has been connecting employees with employers since 1977. Recently, CNS rebranded to CNS Employment Solutions to more clearly define their mission of serving the needs of applicants, employees, and businesses while remaining current and evolving with the changes in the workforce. One important thing has not changed. CNS Employment Solutions partners with a wide variety of employers, placing employees in jobs that match their skills and needs.
Say yes to CNS.
All right, CNS Employment Solutions, they are a great team player. Not only are they a part of this team, They're also a part of Sports Locker Magazine, and we just thank them and Big Whiskeys for helping to bring this content to you. CNS Employment Solutions, Paula Benny and her team, they do an outstanding job of making sure that they connect people that need jobs with employers that need to fill positions. They help the employers locate a talented workforce and make sure that they are serving our community with people that are doing an outstanding job. So, again, thank you to CNS Employment Solutions for everything that they do. All right, we've been talking a little bit about the NFL football season. Disappointment for us as Chief fans. Hopefully, Patrick Mahomes will get healed up quickly and be able to get back by training camp and be ready to go for the beginning of the season. We are a little curious about who's going to step into the offensive coordinator position. A lot of people have been calling for some fresh perspective, calling for somebody a little bit different to bring some new ideas to help Coach Andy Reid be able to maybe change some things up a little bit. It seems to be kind of stagnant over the last couple of years. You know, I guess you get spoiled with how good things are going. You make Super Bowl after Super Bowl, you win a few, you lose a few, but man, you can get spoiled by making it to the Super Bowl every year. And this year reminded me of those disappointing years of the past before we had Coach Andy Reid and then Patrick Mahomes start the run that they went on. Hopefully, they'll get back to where we like seeing them over these past several years. Um, there's been a lot of coaching changes, and that's kind of what we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. Like I said, offensive coordinator is an open position for the Chiefs because Matt Nagy, who was the assistant offensive coordinator, is most likely going to be joining the Tennessee Titans. At least that's what reports say. You never know, it could change. But I want to just tell you real quick, there's been a couple of positions filled already. The New York Giants hired former Baltimore Ravens coach John Harbaugh, and so he is now uh, a New York Giant, and they are very excited to have him up there. Some people are like, "Well, what are you excited about? He never really went very far in the playoffs, and had a lot of talent with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, and had a great running back and great receivers, and just could never get over the hump." Well, in part of that, guys, has to be because of the other teams that they were playing against. They would play against a really good Buffalo Bills team. They'd play against a really good Kansas City Chiefs team. They'd play against a really, at times, very good Cincinnati Bengals team. So the talent level and the exceptional team play of these teams that have been at the top for so long, fighting against one another. There's only going to be one that's going to make it to the Super Bowl, and fortunately, that had been the Kansas City Chiefs, but not this year. All right, so the number one coaching position that they're talking about, the most attractive one, would be the Baltimore Ravens, where Coach John Harbaugh had left. And the Ravens are going to be looking for somebody that can maximize the abilities of Lamar Jackson and that great offense. They need to continue to improve on their defense. So not quite sure what they're going to be looking for there, but they're going to be a formidable team again. They should be right back in the mix just because of all the talent that they have. Henry is just a beast of a running back, and so I think they've got good things ahead. The second most interesting position, or the most desired position, is now the Buffalo Bills because they have Josh Allen there. They just fired their coach Sean McDermott, and the interesting thing is what I'm hearing from some different people is that they're saying that the general manager uh, or the one who fired him, he got a promotion, and he has some other duties that he's taking on within the Buffalo Bills organization. They got rid of the coach who had been doing an outstanding job getting them to the AFC Championship game, and but this year, fell short when they had a really good window of opportunity. So he's gone. So the Buffalo Bills will be a very desirable uh, coaching job for anyone that is able to get in there, because Josh Allen, they call him Superman, and that guy does do an outstanding job. He's like kryptonite when we play against them in the regular season, but in the playoffs, the Chiefs usually won out there. The third most desirable NFL job would be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Coach Mike Tomlin, uh, right after they lost in the playoffs, he decided that he was going to go ahead and step away from the organization, resign after 19 years. He was the longest tenured head football coach in the NFL when he stepped away. The second longest was right behind him, and that was John Harbaugh, who got fired from the Ravens and is now coaching the New York Giants. The Steelers, I'm not sure where they're going to go. Aaron Rodgers, I think, will be 42 next year. Not sure how well he'll continue to do. But they've got some pieces, and I think they're going to need to be looking for somebody that can maximize that as well as help with recruiting new talent. All right, the next position after that is the Cleveland Browns. They fired their coach, Kevin Stefanski. Now, Kevin Stefanski was the coach of the year 2 separate times, and he had done such a good job with the teams that he had. He had Baker Mayfield, but then they had a revolving door at quarterback. This last year, they had like 3 different quarterbacks that they went through, 2 rookies, as well as Joe Flacco was there for a little bit. I think he started the season, and then he got traded to Cincinnati, and he was taking care of business until Joe Burrow got back. That job in Cleveland is open, and that'll be the number 4 most desirable position. Next, number 5 is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, again, this is another organization that's kind of up in the air. You don't really know what to expect. They're not really sure they're going to keep their quarterback Kyler Murray, but they are, they're out there in the NFC West. They play against the 49ers, the Los Angeles Rams, the Seattle Seahawks. So they're going to have to find somebody that is really good and able to help that team step up and get into the mix if they want to have any success whatsoever. They've got to have somebody to help guide that. So not sure what they're going to look for there, but they are in the process of interviewing. Then we have the Tennessee Titans, and like I was sharing, is it looks like the head coaching position there most likely will be filled by Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator or assistant offensive coordinator at Kansas City. I believe he was going to move on regardless, just in the fact that, as an assistant, Andy Reid is making the calls. As an assistant, he's just there as a supporting role and advisement. And I think a coach that is seeking to be a head coach would want to get out and be offensive coordinator, by himself, making the calls and going from there. So even if he doesn't get a head coaching position, I'm kind of thinking that Coach Matt Nagy will probably move on to something different there. Then we've got the Las Vegas Raiders. Um, my friend Matt and his son Nick, they're huge Raiders fans. And when I say huge, I'm saying huge in the fact that they really like the silver and black, but just like how it was for so many years with the Chiefs, you just expect that they're just not going to be in the mix. But I know that they are looking forward to the day when they will be in the mix. Now, last year they thought they were going to have a possible formula for being able to at least be in the mix. They hired Coach Pete Carroll, who was longtime Seattle Seahawks coach. He was part of the Legion of Boom that they had such an outstanding defense up there. So they were pretty excited about getting him, as well as the quarterback that he had in Seattle. Geno Smith did an outstanding job up there, but none of that worked out this year. And even toward the end of the season, their best defensive player, just to kind of protect him from injury and keeping his value, they ended up telling him he was going to sit out some of these less meaningful games so that they could evaluate some of their personnel. And he got mad and he went home. He was just like, I'm just not even going to be with the team. So we'll be curious to see what happens there in Las Vegas. But the Miami Dolphins, they have just hired Jeff Hafley. Jeff Hafley was an assistant and he was an assistant and he was a defensive coordinator. So he's going to be taking over that position as head coach, replacing Mike McDaniel, who was an offensive coordinator and was running things there for a while with Tyreek Hill. Remember him, former Chief, the Cheetah. So they had lots of speed and lots of talent there, but again, he just couldn't get over the hump and move far into the playoffs. So knew that his position was probably going to be gone, and it was. The Atlanta Falcons hired former Cleveland Browns coach Kevin Stefanski. So the Atlanta Falcons are now with a coach, and they're going to begin their continued rebuild. They've got a great running back in Bijan Robinson. I mean, unbelievable talent. And they'll be able to try to continue to develop Michael Penix Jr. as their quarterback. They may need to look at somebody else to continue to help develop as they go along. Kirk Cousins was the man that was filling in that position, kind of being a middleman until Michael Penix Jr. was going to be able to step in and take over the job. And like I said, the John Harbaugh is now the New York Giants head coach, and he moved from the Ravens. Um, Lots of changes, and when we're just talking about the head coaching positions, you got to remember that most likely there's going to be a rotation in the offensive coordinators with all those teams, as well as the defensive coordinators with all those teams. It'd be very unusual for an offensive or defensive coordinator to stay in those positions with a new head coach coming in. So you'll see some different changes taking place there, and I'm interested to see how all of that shakes out. But there were 10 head coaching vacancies this year in the National Football League. Not sure if that's all, but that's what we've had so far, and they're going to have to move quickly so they can begin preparing their staff and getting ready for the NFL Combine, the draft, all those different things that they're going to be able to evaluate. The NFL is big business, and they spend a ton of money on these athletes as well as on the coaches, the facilities, and all of the different things that are involved with that. There's great organizations that do it right from the top down. That's what I've liked. That's why I really enjoyed watching the Chiefs, the Hunt family, as well as Mike Veach as the general manager. I mean, he's done a pretty good job. I would like to see us get a consistent and more talented running back room. Still thinking, I was pleased a little bit with the wide receiving core this year, but we just didn't have that standout. I mean, Rashee Rice had problems, legal problems right away at the beginning, missed 6 games. Xavier Worthy got hurt. He was out a few games. It just didn't ever seem like we were getting it together. Travis Kelce, he was working hard, was in better shape, but he just is not able to carry the load like he was before. And the rotating mess that we have had for the last several years on the offensive line, I mean, my goodness, I am really looking forward to that mess getting straightened out. Well, guys, I'm not going to take much more of your time tonight. I just wanted to just go through some of those things, the big changes in the NFL. Looking forward to some of those new coaching hires. Looking forward to seeing who is the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, and as well as Las Vegas Raiders, seeing who they hire, just to make the AFC West even more competitive. Good competition is what breeds good football teams, and just like we're seeing with the NFC West this year. The AFC West was that last year with 3 teams in the playoffs, and hopefully we'll get back to that again. All right, that's all I've got for tonight. You guys stay warm the best that you can. It's cold out there, and hope you enjoy the national championship game tonight. Until next week, I am your host, Kirk DeMars. God bless you, and see you next week.